Hi guys, this is Volans back for Audiotuts with another tutorial, and this time we're looking at sound design and mixing sort of rolled into one. And I'm at the early stages in a remix, very early stages. I've just got the sort of loop together and I was starting to work on a part, and I thought I'd share it with you because I thought it was quite important and might be quite useful to some of you. You may not be into the genre or style, but I think that this specific instrument is going to be pretty useful to some of you. So what we're going to be looking at is using vocal parts as instruments. And I actually needed to build a new lead part. And I'll play you the loop back. We're using quite a lot of Virus TI here. And for those of you who are aware of the Virus TI system, it often goes out of sync. So if you hear it go out of sync, bear with me. But it should be fine. So I'll play back the loop. Okay, so you can hear it sort of, I'll just let that ring out, but you can hear it sort of indie, sort of reasonably epic sounding. And the problem I had was that I've got this one lead sound here. You can hear it with the bass there. I think I can solo it a little further. You may hear some clicks and pops, it's just the Virus streaming. Okay, so I had this and I was pretty happy with it, but I wanted something alternative to play in another section, and I didn't want to use another synthesizer. So I wanted to use the vocal, and so I started to cut the vocal up and actually used Contact. And you could really use any sampler you want in this situation. You don't have to use Contact. It's just a case of using a sampler with a blank patch. And I've just dropped the entire vocal in as a file here and dropped it into just a single key map. So the vocal is straight across the keyboard. And then what I did was I actually altered the start point to a specific section. And now you should be able to hear just the vocal. And this is exactly the sort of thing that I'm talking about. You can just map a vocal and change the start point. And I'm going to move the start point around so you can hear what I did. I mean, you can just choose a start point just by scanning through. And I tend to use the more interesting sort of transient, the heavier transients. I was using that one at some point, and I think I was using one at the beginning at some point. And it sounds, by itself, it doesn't sound, too impressive. But if we pick the right point, we can start to play it like an instrument. And this is, it's going to sound quite like a Fairlight. It's a true vocal sound. It's not, a synthesized vocal sound. It really is a vocal. So you get quite an interesting effect. And I've been doing this, since the days of Akai samplers. And now we've got a little bit more control. We can start to add some interesting loops. So there's a loop activated, and you can see it's this section here. And I'm going to zoom in so we can see exactly what we're working with. But it's just this area looped, and then it reverses. And you can fine tune this. And with a bit of release on it, you get a little bit of the loop at the end of every note that you play. And we can up that release. And we get quite a cool effect. Start to add reverb. Let's take the low latency mode off. And we get a really epic sound. And I just played a really simple pattern, and it's probably not the pattern I'm going to end up using. It was really just to demonstrate using this sound. I'll open up the mixer here, the piano roll. And then you can fine tune the release. And you can fine tune the loop even a little bit if you find that you're getting too much of the... And then I added a compressor. And any compressor will really do here. And there's maybe a little bit too much compression on at the minute. But it brings out the more subtle parts of the vocal. And then in the mix, and I'll just mute the other lead for a second. And you can hear how that gives it a whole new sort of angle. It gives it another vocal element, another vocal sound when the vocal's not in. And it's another top line that you can use. You can add portamento to this and glide and distortion and really get some interesting vocal effects and turn it into a brand new instrument. And it always works generally because it is the vocal that you're using in the remix or in the vocal track that you're producing. So it generally gels with the vocal sound you've already got. Because it's sort of organically part of it. And I find that's a really cool way to add a new angle to your track. So hopefully this has given you some ideas if you're working on vocal tracks and you want to sort of get that epic sort of 80s Fairlight sound. M83 do quite a lot of this sort of thing. I think it works great and hopefully you can use it. Next up, I'm probably going to start looking at some more synthesis techniques and go back to some mixing and mastering tips as well. But in the meantime, leave the comments below and let me know what you want to see.